average person probably doesn't think about breathing much, but in our family, we think about breathing. We look at breathing patterns. We notice when somebody's breathing a little faster than what they should, especially Levi.
Yeah, more than half the kids with severe forms of this die.
It's absolutely terrifying.
It's hard to see your kid blue and not, the first time it was like, what's going on? And I need to call an ambulance. And
It's how long until you can get intervention. Can you get intervention in place before a child dies or has permanent brain damage?
the adrenaline kicks in and you know what you have to do. And
In most cases, it's no, you can't intervene.
These kids with tracheobronchomalacia, especially severe forms, are very fragile kids, and it's very common for these kids to have acute events.
the first time I can remember when it happened when we were out in public, it was in a Wendy's parking lot. And I remember being terrified. The ventilator was dying, his trach had pulled out, it was still connected to his neck, but the inside of it was on the outside of his neck. We called 911 and the ambulance was actually right across the street.
And really there's no treatment for it. Even the EMTs in the rural communities don't really have the capability to handle these kind of acute airway problems.
Sometimes I would bag him for, average was about 5 minutes. Bagging would be, it's an ambu bag that you can hook oxygen tubing up to. And it would fasten right to his trach. And basically you do the breathing for him. It's like CPR. You just squeeze the ambu bag. There was one time, actually 2 years ago, I did an entire ambulance ride and it was about a 45-minute with traffic. I bagged him all the way from home to the hospital. I had a lot of people ask me, well, why didn't the paramedics take over? Our community is so small and they do have trach training, but they don't use it enough to where they have told me right from the beginning, they're just my taxi.
These are the things that happen before a fatal event happens, where the tracheostomy tube becomes plugged, all of a sudden their child's not able to breathe.
And basically we were told at our local hospital, he's just gonna have to outgrow it, give him time. I really didn't like that answer because they weren't the ones that were coming into the hospital every week. They weren't the ones that were getting to know every paramedic in town. And nobody should have to live like that.
They couldn't figure it out, so we decided to get a second opinion at U of M.
He would have died. This was something, so normally we say with tracheobronchomalacia you should be able to outgrow it in 3 years or so, but if there's erosion into an artery, then you don't make it to that long. In Levi's case, we actually saw this happening. We'd see the same thing happen to him that had happened to so many other kids.
There are times where we have to go and tell families that there is no hope. Our culture here is totally different than other peer institutions. We have several missions to push the whole field forward for everybody in the world, to not just accept the status quo and to try to find new solutions for difficult problems.
And this is a problem that I want to try to solve.
This was Dr. Green's idea.
And a colleague said, hey, there's a bioengineer that I think will be able to help you out quite a bit. And so they put me in touch with Scott Hollister. I met with Scott.
And the two of them developed this project. It's brilliant in its simplicity. I mean, it's so elegant and it works so well.
So what you see when you look at the pictures here is an extremely tightly controlled manufacturing process. The device can't be made with traditional techniques. And so it's a laser that is piece by piece fusing areas together to manufacture the device.
It's interesting to think most of what we do now, improvements are sort of iterative in that they're improvements on existing technologies, they're little tweaks to operations that already exist. But this is something that was completely new, completely out of the blue.
The amount of roadblocks and problems and things that I never thought I'd be involved with are immense. Things like trying to get approval to have things shipped between countries.
I was literally just walking through the ICU and Glenn approached me and said, listen, I got this kid who's dying, but I think I have something that can help him. And they went on to describe the device to me and how it could help this kid. And it sort of snowballed from there.
So this is a model of the trachea, not Levi's trachea, but the model of a trachea of someone that doesn't have malacia and how the windpipe should be opened up. But in Levi's case, the airway was all the way collapsed down in the middle. And so we needed something that would hold this area open. So we devised a splint. Here's an actual splint that was not needed for actual implantation. It goes around the outside, and sutures are placed through these holes to go and hold the airway open so the child's able to breathe without the ventilator.
Well, so the first time I went in and did one of these cases, not ever having done it before in a human for any of us, when the first case was done, and the child was quite literally dying.
You come up with this idea, you think it's going to work, but you really don't know until you're doing it.
And the child had what's called a post-obstructive pneumonia, which means he had infection past the area of the blockage. It's not unlike an abscess in that the infection can't get cleared, and until you get that open, you can't fix the infection.
And so there's all this worry, what will actually happen? Is it going to work or not? Will this help him or will it not?
And when we put that splint in, the lung started ventilating, and the kid almost instantaneously got better. The operating room, I mean, I think people have a lot of ideas that the operating room is someplace where it's exciting and there's people running around, there's like lots of yelling and screaming and lots of excitement, but it's really mostly matter of fact. It's just something we do every day. It's sort of business as usual. But I would say this is the one time in my career where we put that splint on and the lung started ventilating and the kid got better. And I think everybody sort of felt like, you know, something really significant just happened.
For me, what's exciting is watching Levi be a regular kid and not think about me. That's what I like, is that he's not thinking about the ventilator, he's not thinking about the tracheostomy, he's not thinking about Dr. Green. His parents might be grateful about what's going on. Levi, he doesn't care at all. He's just enjoying life in the moment.
So lucky to have been involved.
You want to help patients, this is where you can help patients. I don't know if you know how special it is here, but it's fabulous. It's not like this anywhere else in the world.